Welcome to Charts Today Energy. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Monday, the 10th of December, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the crude oil. We're seeing it's up for Brent, but down for WTI. So just a little bit of a mixed picture here. And we have a quick look at the macro situation. Stock market's down fairly heavily in Asia overnight. Actually, the UK market just turning up on weaker sterling, which always helps blue chip index. But the US futures look set to open lower. Looking at the dollar, it's up slightly this morning, but short term we are just bearish on the dollar. Euro dollar actually rising. Short term, so we are seeing just that dollar weakness having an effect. Against the yen, the dollar is actually lower, and this is where I tend to keep an eye out just for how the dollar is going to perform. If we're going to see a dollar improvement, it'll normally show up in the yen chart first. Sterling is is down this morning, and against the euro, we're down 1/3%. That announcement this morning that the UK can return to the EU has meant that it's complicating the vote tomorrow. So we are just seeing sterling weakness kicking in against the Swiss franc. We're also pushing lower. Taking a look at some of the other indices, gold is actually looking much stronger again on those weaker markets, and US 10-year yields sinking lower in the mid 280s, so that's a sentiment factor as well. Coming back to crude oil, we see that Brent is bouncing this morning up 0.5% and was higher. We've had quite a little bit of volatility the last hour or so on Brent. We do have a short-term target of very short-term target of 62.80. But we are hitting some resistance at the moment. If we look at the 60-minute chart, we do have upside targets dominating, so it does look like we could go higher. 64.80, 71 is there as well, so that's a further 15% higher than where we are now. And we do look like we're turning the corner. We got that signal on the RSI last week, and we do look like we're bouncing on the cloud here and on support. This data all coming to you from Thomson Reuters Icon. This is my long-term, my medium-term picture, and my short-term and the very short-term charts here, 1 minute point and figure chart. If we take a look at WTI, we're seeing again a sharp recovery this morning here. It was off lower, but we're bouncing back now. No clear short-term targets here. The picture less bullish than Brent. Strangely, we do have downside targets that we just don't have on Brent, so that's also a factor. US Natgas. We're seeing holding on to its gains, looking very strong after that jump, and this really starting to look like an ascending triangle, getting ready for a breakout on gas prices. So that is a factor. We're seeing the correlation with crude is bearish in the daily chart. Short term, the correlation is actually positive. Heating oil following crude as we would expect. No clear targets there. Bob, we've got quite a lot of downside targets, so that is still looking quite bearish. Looking at coal, we haven't got a price yet on API2 off Reuters this morning, so your Trayport screen probably giving you a little bit better information here. But API2, we do have these targets 88.30, 88.40 on the 1 minute chart, and if we look at the 60-minute chart, we see here 92.90, so that's 7% higher. But we do have downside targets that are not activated. Any new lows on coal will have an impact. Emissions are down 1.4% this morning. This is the ICE traded contract. We're seeing here that dive on Friday, and then just this morning we've opened lower, stabilising, but still a pretty mixed picture in terms of emissions. NBP front month is up 1.9%. We've got a target of 85.80. That's 2% higher, and 65.80, and then 66.90 on the 60-minute chart. Does look like a little bit of a recovery, but we're still bearish on the medium and short-term charts. The 1 minute chart we see has really pushed higher on Friday and pushing higher still this morning. TTF, much the same picture as you'd expect. We've got an upside target of 23.98, let's say 24, but we're not activated yet. We need to move to new highs to do that. We need to take out that high here at 23.35. Looking at German power, we're seeing it's down 0.5% this morning. The 1 minute target's quite interesting here on the chart. Again, this data coming from Thomson Reuters Icon. If you're on Trayport, you'll have high visibility on the screen. But we are seeing here 53, 53.60 and 54.50, so looking pretty good there as well. And Polish power, the exchange traded product, down just under 1%. So we're seeing uh, sentiment still weighing a bit on energy markets in Europe this morning. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.